It is indeed a great pleasure and honor for me to be here, representing the President of the Republic of Seychelles, His Excellency President James Alex Michel, the government of Seychelles and the people of Seychelles at this very important 14th Sustainable Development Summit in Delhi. We, the small island states, will not cease to make our voices heard because we believe we are the sentinels of our planet. We are the custodians of the planet's most important natural assets, the oceans. For many decades, attentions on oceans has been marginalized in international debate. And while significant progress was made in Rio at the last Global Summit on Sustainable Development, our understanding of the oceans is still very sparse. We, small islands, know very well that it is the oceans that drive the global climate. It is the oceans that contribute significantly to the air we breathe and the food we eat. It is the oceans that connect us to trade routes. And whilst humankind has been notorious in exploiting and polluting our oceans, we have yet to define a framework for the sustainable management of the oceans. It is the responsibility of all of us, whether small island nations or coastal states, landlocked countries or desert nations, to drive the development of this framework. Ladies and gentlemen, the blue economy is such a framework, which was pushed by many small island states, including Seychelles, at the Rio +20. Through our efforts, we managed to place oceans high on the global agenda. And we need to keep pushing so that the blue economy can truly live up to its premise as our template for sustainable development. The challenges of small island states can easily be forgotten in the international community if we do not continue to pursue the goals of a sustainable planet. Small islands are important for global development. Even the largest vehicle cannot get very far if a small bolt in the wheel is neglected. Furthermore, the challenges we face today as small islands can easily proliferate into global issues. Take, for example, water security as a result of climate change. So, islands hold many solutions as well as early warnings. No one can afford to ignore what is happening on our island coasts: erosion, extreme weather events, coral bleaching, all linked to global processes. Ladies and gentlemen, through the blue economy concept, however, what we are presenting the world is not a list of problems, but rather a unique opportunity to solve many of these sustainability questions through better management, ownership, and development of our oceans. We need determined world leaders and world organizations that take bold and concrete steps to address these issues. We need to see positive results. Hitting 400 parts per million in atmospheric carbon dioxide for the first time in recorded history spells disaster for small island states. This is not positive results. We are either getting too much water that floods our islands, or too little water that we are without water for many months. The oceans are getting too warm for our corals in some cases, or too cold for our fish that migrate elsewhere. More carbon dioxide in our atmosphere means more ocean acidification. Ladies and gentlemen, our failure to take proactive action on curbing greenhouse gas emissions pushes us further over the edge. We need action that brings about positive results. The wealth of the oceans needs to translate into real wealth for our local people and future generation. We can't just think of today, of bottom line profits. We need to think of tomorrow. We need to be reminded that we owe the future generations a better ocean from the one we all inherited. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our discussions on the post-2015 development agenda and on the Sustainable Development Goals that will succeed the MDGs, we need to urgently consider sustainable development goals that adequately reflect the importance of the oceans. We need research, support, and resources to manage and properly tap into the vast potential of our oceans. We need to ensure marine biodiversity does not decline, but is conserved and managed for the prosperity of our nation and the future of our planet. Those needs will not and cannot be achieved if we maintain this business as usual trajectory. To achieve those needs, we need to embrace a solution in which the oceans are at the center of our development. This is what we call the blue economy. The blue economy is our life. We will not be able to achieve sustainable development without the blue economy. The theme of this summit, attaining energy, water, and food security for all, will not be achieved without enhancing our engagement with the blue economy. Our future energy and water will come from the sea, there is no doubt. We also need to ensure that our food continues to come from the sea, whilst its vast benefits and resources are well appreciated. We are yet to fully incorporate the oceans into our development agenda. Many still perceive the ocean as a resource which belongs to everyone, and therefore can be exploited by those with the means and power to do so. Some are also of the view that the ocean is unlimited in terms of its resources and ability to absorb pollution, and the assault on our oceans continues every day unabated. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to reverse current trends. We need determined leaders to reverse the current trend of overfishing, estimated at 87% of existing fish stocks by FAO, and the degradation of marine and coastal systems through land use change, especially destruction of forest areas and discharge of land-based pollution. On an island, wherever we turn, whenever we look, we see the oceans. The oceans surround us. They feed us. They keep our people together. Today, Seychelles depends upon tourism and fisheries for its economic development, in contrast to many other countries who have other sources of economic income. Our resources are fragile. We remain vulnerable, and traditional economic development models do not really recognize these concerns. Small island development states will therefore remain vulnerable if they do not learn to manage the economy with the sea, the ocean, at the heart of its economic planning. Addressing sustainable development and the green economy in small island states and coastal states will not be complete without addressing what we call the blue economy. Our blue economy is the green economy. It is about ocean conservation and sustainable use. It is about creating blue jobs. It is about the eradication of poverty. It is about obtaining a more equitable revenue from our resources. It is about creating a link between what we do on land and in the ocean. It is about building partnerships for development. Preserving the oceans is therefore a global responsibility, a joint effort, and a long-lasting commitment. The political outcome of the Blue Economic Summit, which was recently held in Abu Dhabi last month, calls upon the international community to come together to address those challenges and create a sustainable blue economy framework to assure the future of the oceans and the future of our islands. We need your help in advancing this framework. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to state that India and Seychelles are natural blue economy partners. Our shared maritime security framework is one which addresses environmental threats such as marine pollution and illegal fishing as priorities. Our partnership in research and hydrographical surveys are also catalysts for a wider development of a blue economy. To make full use of our ocean's potential, we are grateful to have nations with the technological dynamism such as India by our side. We firmly believe that it is through such partnerships that we can help place exploration ahead of exploitation of our oceans. Ladies and gentlemen, in this United Nations International Year of Small Island Developing States, oceanic development through the blue economy can be a catalyst for the change required to move beyond the rhetoric of sustainable development. As we approach the 3rd International Conference on Seeds in Samoa, we are reminded that it is through partnerships that we will achieve through sustainable development. We need to keep oceans on the agenda. We need to embrace the blue economy as the mechanism for sustainable development in small island states and coastal regions of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, a sustainable ocean will lead to a sustainable planet.